Ryan, just wanted to first begin with a quick update from you. We've had a number of guests and experts joining us from Israel who've been telling us that the sirens have been going off in the last few hours.
Yeah, sirens have really been nonstop. And as we're standing here, we might even get one here in Jerusalem. We just got a warning several minutes ago that rockets were on their way from Iran. We're also seeing sirens all the way up north at this stage, as well as, of course, the center of the country. Rockets have really been going off really every several minutes or every hour, so that you're constantly running up and down from the shelter. As we've reported since early this morning, last night in the middle of the night was one of the hardest attacks by the Iranian regime. We saw direct hits in the center of the country. Two apartment buildings basically destroyed. One woman in her 40s or 50s, it's not quite clear yet, was killed. Several other in serious condition, including some children who were at least lightly injured. I'm actually hearing interceptions above my head, although the siren has not yet gone off. In addition to that, what I can tell you is that we are, hearing from the Iranian and from the Israeli officials that, in fact, the retaliation, although it is very, very strong by Iran, it is really symbolic. They're saying that while the war may, as your other guest alluded, go on for the next few days, they do feel that the assassination of Khamenei, and not just Khamenei, but remember, most of the top leadership, of course, there are succession plans, but Israel is aware of who those people are. And my understanding here is that they're feeling that this is going to be an intense couple of days, but that this is going to end with victory.
Mayan, what is that victory defined as? There's been a lot of talk about regime change. You're seeing the assassination of the Khamenei, which many would have thought would have led to that accomplishment of a regime change. Doesn't look like it. So what is a victory or a success defined as?
Well, there are two parts to this war you have to remember. Part one is an ultimate goal of regime change, but regime change will not come solely from airstrikes. The airstrikes by the United States and by Israel help to help bring that about, but ultimately the people on the ground will need to rebel and bring about that regime change. And as you've heard, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. President Donald Trump both calling out to the people of Iran to go back to the streets and to protest and take down the regime. Of course, we have seen protesters rallying around the flag, of course, coming out in sadness over some of the destruction and the 40 days of mourning for Khamenei. So it's still a little bit preliminary to know exactly where this is going to go. That is only one part of the victory. The other part are the specific targets that you see Israel and the United States hitting right now. While we have also been receiving quite a number of rocket alerts here in the country, mostly intercepted, we are also targeting Iran, and we're hitting the ballistic missile launching sites. We're hitting, of course, the leadership that's able to launch those rockets from the launching sites. And in addition to that, we are hitting core targets that would impact their potential other missile programs and nuclear weapons program potentially. The goal of this, as Trump has made very clear, is that there will no longer be a threat to the region, meaning that this time next year, I will not have to be standing here talking to you about Iranian rockets raining down on Israel.
Well, I definitely hope so. But for the moment, it definitely looks like we are going to be seeing Iran continuing with these counterstrikes. I want to understand the nature of Israel's operation right now, Mayan. Is it largely only defensive, intercepting these missiles, or is Israel continuing to fire missiles at Iran's direction?
Israel is continuing to fire missiles at Iran's direction. It actually hasn't really stopped. It's hitting core targets. It has a list of leadership that it wants to eliminate and a list of locations that it wants to destroy in order to, again, achieve victory. What we understand, and there's been reports both in the New York Times and other American publications and confirmed here in Israel, that the CIA and Israel, the Mossad, have been working extremely closely together to understand where they need to target and who they need to target in order to achieve those two goals. Won't be achieved overnight. I think President Trump made it very clear it could be shorter, it could be long, but it won't be over until it's over. And it seems that even as the Iranian regime continues to threaten the United States and Israel, threaten a regional war, I heard you talking about the attacks that are going on in the region, places that have not seen this kind of rockets before. Our allies, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, we're seeing this, Qatar, all over the region. The question is, will this end up really escalating to a full-blown regional war, or will the United States and Israel working in Iran be able to get it stopped quick enough? Obviously, there will be some death and destruction on all sides, including here in Israel. As I said, somebody was already killed. Some people are in serious condition. And if you remember, during the 12-day war in June, 28 Israelis were killed in those attacks. attacks. We had a direct hit on a hospital back then. And we are hearing some reports of direct hits, mostly again in open spaces, but there are those that are hitting down. We can't report yet where they are, but definitely this Iran is having some success on the ground here in Israel as well.
The other question that comes up, Mayan, since you referred to, the scope of this war, expanding the theater of war, if you will, expanding also in this particular case, is for how long? Has there been any communication that's coming from the Israeli authorities to the people of Israel saying, listen, you'll have to hunker down for the next few days?
Oh, 100%. Our Homefront Command has already let us know that the restrictions that are in place right now are in place at least until 8 o'clock p.m. on Monday night. And at that point, they'll reevaluate and let us know. So people are being asked not to drive on the roads. I'm standing in front of a grocery store because soon I'm going to hopefully be able to interview some Israelis to explain to you how they feel. But really, the only things that are open are pharmacies and grocery stores, the gyms, the entertainment, everything is closed. Schools are closed, of course. Children are learning via Zoom. The country is effectively shut down until what time we'll know that it's safe to come out. People are asked to stay near shelters. And as I mentioned, these warning sirens come. They tell you, hey, be careful. Within, 8 to 10 minutes, there's going to be a siren in your area. And people are then asked to be by a shelter in order to save their lives. These ballistic missiles are not the rockets of Hezbollah or Hamas that we have seen over the last decades. But in fact, these ballistic missiles are massive warheads that cause tremendous amount of destruction during the 12-day war. After the war settled, when you walked around areas in Tel Aviv where there were hits, you saw buildings literally pummeled to the ground. If people were not in safe rooms, they were killed.
Stay safe out there. Just for our viewers, also, if you could explain to us, how often are you hearing these sirens, Mayan? Is there more frequency today versus yesterday?
I mean, right now the sirens are going off in the north. I'm in Jerusalem, so I'm not hearing them, but I'm seeing the alerts come on my phone. They are nonstop every couple of minutes up in the north right now. Overnight and into the morning, they were in central Israel and Jerusalem, where I am. Constant sirens. They can be anywhere between every 10 minutes and every hour. Now, remember, Iran is further away than, for example, the Hamas or Hezbollah in Lebanon or in Gaza on the borders. So when you lived in southern Israel in the Gaza envelope and Hamas launched a rocket, you had less than a minute to get to that shelter. That is not the situation with Iran. We have an average of 8 minutes from the time of the warning to get to the shelter, sometimes even up to 15, which of course allows people to be much safer.
All right, Mayan, again, stay safe
you're hearing the
there.
siren. Here you go.
Yeah,
Siren is on.
We're going to let you go. We understand, Mayan. We're going to let you go.
Thank you.
Stay safe out there. Get down into a bunker. We're going to continue going across to Mayan.